Renault Morphose. Ever wish your car could just grow when you need more space? Well, Renault actually made that happen. This is the Renault Morphose, the wild concept car that can physically shapeshift, not metaphorically, not through adaptive driving modes. No, it stretches its own body like it's auditioning for a Transformers movie no one greenlit. Unveiled in 2020, the Morphose looked perfectly normal at first, a sleek electric crossover that could blend into any modern EV lineup. But then you hit a button and the thing moves. The front slides forward, the rear stretches out, and the wheelbase literally grows right in front of you. No CGI, no Michael Bay explosions, just real-life robot magic. Here's the trick. In city mode, it's short and stylish. 4.4 meters long, perfect for parallel parking and pretending you like traffic. It runs on a 40 kilowatt-hour battery, good for about 249 miles, which is plenty for daily drives. But when it's time to escape the city, you roll up to a Renault charging station and click. The Morphose extends like a robot waking up from a nap. The bonnet lengthens, the tail stretches, and a 50 kilowatt-hour battery slides into the floor like a cartridge in a game console. This extends the range to a respectable 435 miles. It's called travel mode, but let's be honest, it's really behold my final form mode. Inside, the transformation keeps going. The seats rearrange, the lighting changes mood, and suddenly you're not sitting in an EV. You're in a lounge with wheels. And the best part? This wasn't just some sci-fi daydream. The Morphose was actually built on the Renault-Nissan CMF EV platform, meaning the tech could actually happen. Dodge Ram T-Rex. While Ford was still figuring out how to make a sporty pickup, Dodge said, "Forget sporty. What if we built a truck that could hunt other trucks?" Meet the Dodge Ram T-Rex 6x6, the prehistoric beast Chrysler unleashed in 1997, long before super trucks were even a thing. And yes, they actually called it the T-Rex, because what else do you name a six-wheeled V10-powered beast that looks like it escaped from Jurassic Park? This was Dodge at its most unhinged, a time when engineers clearly drank rocket fuel instead of coffee. The T-Rex was built on a Ram 2500 chassis, but had not two, not four, but six wheels with three powered axles and a computer-controlled air suspension system that could adapt in real time. Off-roading, it adapted. Towing, it adjusted. Commuting, it probably just laughed. This wasn't just a truck, it was evolution on wheels. And the heart? Oh, it was straight out of the Viper's playbook, only meaner. Under the hood lived an 8.0-liter V10, tuned to prehistoric levels of power. While the standard Ram of the era made around 300 horsepower, the T-Rex punched out a ridiculous 497 horsepower and 593 pound-feet of torque. That's nearly 200 more horses and 143 more torques than the truck it was based on, and even more powerful than the Dodge Viper itself at the time. Despite weighing over 12,000 pounds, this thing could still hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 8 seconds. For something that size, that's not a truck. That's a land missile. But of course, like every good dinosaur story, extinction was inevitable. Producing the T-Rex would have been financial suicide. The level of custom engineering, the bespoke suspension, the reinforced chassis, and that high-compression hand-built V10 made it a nightmare to mass produce. Chrysler realized no one would pay the six-figure price tag needed to make it profitable, and the idea was shelved. But here's where the conspiracy theory comes in. Some say Dodge shelved it because the T-Rex was just too good. The brand didn't want to cannibalize sales of its other trucks or upstage the Viper. Sounds wild, right? But considering the T-Rex could tow, climb, and outrun almost anything on the road, maybe Chrysler feared it would eat its own lineup alive. Renault Trezor. You know when concept cars look so beautiful, you start questioning whether they're even real or just an AI-generated video? Yeah, that's the Renault Trezor. Unveiled in 2016 at the Paris Motor Show, this thing wasn't just a showstopper. It was something Batman would have driven if he was French. Now, the first thing you notice is that it doesn't have doors. Nope. The entire top of the car, roof, windshield, and all, lifts up like the lid of a jewelry box. You don't open the Trezor, you enter it like a fighter jet. And inside? Oh man, it's pure concept car insanity. Everything glows red because apparently passion is standard equipment in France. The seats are made from quilted leather that looks more like high-end furniture than anything you'd find in a car, and the dashboard stretches out like a single sculpted wave of carbon fiber and wood. Then there's the steering wheel. It's not just round. In fact, it changes shape. In autonomous mode, it literally expands and flattens to give you more screen space. When it's time for you to take over again, it shrinks back into a sporty Formula One inspired shape. And underneath all the sci-fi styling, the Trezor actually has some serious engineering going on. It's fully electric, powered by a rear-mounted motor borrowed straight from Renault's Formula E race car program. It produces about 350 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque, enough to push it from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. The battery packs are split between the front and rear for perfect weight distribution, and it uses regenerative braking to charge while driving, something Renault was really proud of at the time. Even the body is made from carbon fiber, so it's as light as it is beautiful. And those honeycomb air vents on the hood, they open and close like they're breathing. We're not saying this car is alive, but if it whispered bonjour when you walked by, you'd probably say bonjour back. Mercedes-Benz Vision AVTR? What if NASA designed a street-legal car? Well, you'd get the Mercedes-Benz Vision AVTR. A machine so futuristic it looks like it could take you straight to another planet. Unveiled at CES 2020, the Vision AVTR, short for Advanced Vehicle Transformation, was Mercedes' way of saying, "You think your Tesla is futuristic? Hold my glowing orb." Inspired by James Cameron's Avatar, yes, the Blue Alien movie, this concept car looked like it was designed by someone who got lost in Pandora and decided to build a vehicle out of its ecosystem. Now, let's start with the obvious. This thing doesn't have doors. Nope. Instead, it has massive butterfly-style panels that lift up like the wings of a futuristic dragonfly. The wheels? They're not even round in the traditional sense. They glow, rotate, and move sideways, allowing the AVTR to crab walk, glide diagonally, and slither like a creature exploring its surroundings. But the real showstopper is at the back. 33 moving bionic flaps that open, close, and tilt independently, almost like breathing gills. Mercedes says they communicate with the outside world, which sounds like marketing speak for, "We wanted to make the rear end wiggle." Either way, it's bizarrely mesmerizing to watch. Inside, things go from futuristic to otherworldly. There's no steering wheel, no pedals, no buttons. Instead, there's a central control pad in the middle console that acts as your link to the machine. You place your hand on it and the car literally recognizes your heartbeat and breathing. The more you interact with it, the more it bonds with you. Just like the Na'vi bonding with their banshees in Avatar. And under all that sci-fi drama, a genuinely insane setup. It runs on futuristic graphene-based organic batteries, completely free of rare earth metals, and biodegradable in theory. It's like if Tesla built a battery pack that could turn into compost. The powertrain supposedly delivered over 700 horsepower and a theoretical 435-mile range. But let's be real, the Vision AVTR was never about numbers. It was about vibes. Mercedes wasn't joking about that living vehicle part either. The Vision AVTR responds to your mood, adjusts lighting and interior ambiance to match your emotions, and glows like some sort of neon jellyfish. It's not just a concept car, it's a sentient creature pretending to be one. Buick Y-Job. What if we told you the very first concept car wasn't from the future? It invented the future? Meet the Buick Y-Job, the granddaddy of every wild, shiny, completely crazy concept car that's ever graced an auto show. Now, picture the year 1938. Cars back then looked like rolling bathtubs with chrome bumpers and names longer than your grocery list. And then, out of nowhere, Buick drops this thing, the Y-Job, and everyone collectively says, "What on earth is that?" This wasn't just a car, it was a UFO with license plates. Harley Earl, the chief designer behind it, wasn't your average engineer either. He started out designing horse-drawn carriages in the 1880s. Which makes this story even funnier. Dude went from fitting saddles to reshaping the future of the car world. And when Earl dreamed up the Y-Job, he didn't just sketch some wild shape for attention. He built a working, drivable concept. This thing was based on a Buick Super chassis and packed a straight 8 Fireball 8 engine, which in its day was about as smooth and classy as engines came. The name Y-Job itself? Pure Earl logic. X had already been used for experimental cars, so he went with Y, as in, why not make something the world's never seen before? Aesthetically, the Y-Job was a chef's kiss ahead of its time. It had a waterfall grille, thin chrome ribbons cascading down like a metallic fountain. It had retractable headlights, decades before pop-ups were cool. The wraparound bumpers, recessed taillights, and flush door handles made it so smooth, you could probably slide your hand across it and not find a single corner. More interestingly, the Y-Job featured a convertible top concealed by a metal deck, and it even had electrically operated windows. The big deal back then. And the best part? Harley didn't lock it away in a studio or parade it around on a trailer. He daily drove this futuristic masterpiece for over a decade. There's even a story that 10 years after its debut, a Detroit reporter saw Earl cruising around in it and wrote an article about Buick's new upcoming model. That's how far ahead this thing looked. Volkswagen W12 Nardo. When you think Volkswagen, and you think of cute Beetles, reliable Golfs, and Jettas that sound like angry hairdryers with exhaust. But back in the the late 90s, Volkswagen had a wild moment. They looked at Ferrari, McLaren, and Lamborghini and said, you know what? We can do that too. It all started with Ferdinand Piëch, Volkswagen's CEO, who wanted to prove the brand could do anything. And when Piëch says, build a supercar, you don't argue. You salute, grab your wrench, and pray. So in 1997, they unveiled the W12 Synchro at the Tokyo Motor Show, a sleek concept designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro, the same guy behind the BMW M1, Lotus Esprit, and yes, even the Daewoo Lanos. The W12 had a 5.6-liter W12 engine mid-mounted, making 414 horsepower, with power sent to all four wheels through VW's Synchro system. It looked insane, smooth, clean, and mean, like an Audi R8's older, more dangerous cousin. But Volkswagen didn't stop there. In 1998, they turned it into a roadster with 600 horsepower, and then in 2001, they unleashed the final form, the W12 Nardo, named after their own high-speed test track in Italy. Soon, Volkswagen realized they had created a monster which shouldn't be locked inside. It went from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds and sounded like a tornado made of angry machinery. So in 2002, they took it to the Nardo ring and decided to see how long it could go flat out. Over 24 hours, including stops for gas, snacks, and probably some existential crises, it averaged 200.6 miles per hour and covered 4,809.8 miles without a single mechanical failure. More shockingly, it broke 12 world records in one go. For a concept car, that's absolutely bonkers. But then reality showed up with a calculator. Building the W12 would have cost Volkswagen a fortune, and let's be honest, in 2002, nobody was dropping $200,000 on a car with a Volkswagen badge. So the project got quietly shelved. But the story doesn't end there. In 1998, Piëch convinced the Volkswagen board to purchase Bugatti, and by December 2020, it was official. And just a few years later, Bugatti unleashed the Veyron, a car with, you guessed it, a W16 engine derived from the same mad science that powered the W12 Nardo. So yeah, Volkswagen didn't just build a concept car, they accidentally built the blueprint for one of the fastest cars ever made. Before we reveal the final three, make sure to leave a like and share your thoughts on the craziest concept car we've mentioned so far. Firebird 1. If you've ever wondered what would happen if someone strapped jet engines to a car and said, yeah, this should be fine, then let us introduce you to the most unhinged creation to ever roll out of General Motors, the Firebird 1. Back in the early 1950s, GM engineers were apparently bored with making normal cars and decided, you know what would really spice up the morning commute? A gas turbine. They'd been tinkering with turbine engines since the 1940s, you know, the kind that planes use. And in 1953, they finally went full mad scientist and built one. Under the direction of Harley Earl, the same design wizard behind the Buick Y-Job, GM's engineers created something that looked straight out of a sci-fi movie. The Firebird wasn't just inspired by jets. It was a jet with four wheels slapped underneath, a sleek fiberglass missile with a pointy nose, stubby wings, and a bubble canopy that screamed Top Gun meets traffic jam. But this wasn't just a crazy concept car. GM actually built it to fly. Sorry, we meant run. This beast had a Whirlfire turbo power gas turbine engine, spitting out 370 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. And because it was the 1950s, safety wasn't exactly a concern. The exhaust could literally melt a parking lot, and the throttle lag was so bad you could press the pedal, have a coffee, and then it would take off. In fact, GM actually had to bring in a test pilot, not a driver, named Emmett Conklin because they realized, yeah, this thing could kill someone. Conklin somehow managed to keep it under control and lived to tell the tale, calling it tricky to handle, which is code for I saw my entire life flash at 200 miles per hour. When the Firebird debuted at the 1954 GM Motorama, people lost their minds. Remember, this was an era when futuristic meant tail fins and chrome, and GM rolled out something that looked ready for liftoff. The crowd wasn't sure if they were supposed to drive it or salute it. It never went into production, because let's be honest, the last thing anyone needed was Bob from accounting flying down Main Street. But the Firebird started something huge. It invented the modern concept car, Hyperion XP1. Okay, imagine if NASA, Bugatti, and Tony Stark all got together after a few drinks and said, let's build something that makes electric cars look boring. Well, that's the Hyperion XP1, a hydrogen-powered hypercar that looks like it was stolen straight off a sci-fi movie set. Unveiled in 2020, the XP XP1 isn't your typical save the planet eco-mobile. Nope. While the rest of the world's obsessed with electric cars, EV range, and battery sizes, Hyperion XP1 showed up and basically said, "You're thinking too small." It's because the company behind it, Hyperion Motors, wanted to prove hydrogen fuel cells aren't dead tech. So they built a hypercar that runs on liquid hydrogen. Yes, hydrogen, the same stuff that powers rockets. Now, here's where things get even crazier. It doesn't have batteries. Instead, it's got fuel cells that turn hydrogen into electricity on the fly. The result? A range of over 1,000 miles. Yeah, that's 4 digits. And a refuel time of just 5 minutes. Tesla owners, you might want to look away. And the looks? It's as if a fighter jet and a stealth drone had a baby. The XP1 has massive air blades that double as solar panels. They actually pivot to follow the sun like sunflower petals. The doors? They open upward and backward like it's flexing on physics itself. And the cabin looks like the inside of a spaceship. All glass, holographic displays, and enough LED glow to make a nightclub jealous. But what's more shocking is that this hypercar has 2,000 horsepower. That's aircraft territory. When it starts up, it doesn't just turn on, it launches. It sounds like NASA should be counting down from 10 every time you press the start button. After all, it does 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.2 seconds and has a top speed of 221 miles per hour. And speaking of NASA, the XP1 actually runs on their technology. The core tech of the vehicle was developed by NASA veterans to improve energy density and lightweight structures. But here's the part that really twists the knife. This fancy high-tech rocket on wheels isn't cheap to build. We're talking around $2 million. BMW Vision Next 100. What if your car could read your mind? Not in a creepy "your phone is listening" way. We mean literally predict what you're about to do behind the wheel. Well, that's the idea behind the BMW Vision Next 100. Unveiled in 2016, this was BMW's big "look at us, we still run the future" moment. The brand could have just thrown a huge party to celebrate its 100th birthday and called it a day. But no, they built a car that looks like it escaped from a Christopher Nolan movie. At first glance, it looks like a cross between a cheetah and a stealth fighter. It's got swooping bodywork, enormous butterfly doors, and a set of wheels that are so tucked in you'd think the suspension collapsed. But it's not broken. That's how it's designed. The wheel arches literally move with the steering. The body panels flex like skin over muscle, all made from flexible carbon fiber that shifts as you turn. It's alive. Inside, BMW basically said, "Who needs buttons? There are no screens, no knobs, no switches." Instead, you get something they call a live geometry, a dashboard made up of 800 tiny triangles that wiggle and rotate to give you information. It's like your dashboard is trying to communicate using interpretive dance. The triangles change shape to warn you about a corner, show traffic, or alert you when the car's about to go autonomous. It's the kind of thing that would make even Tony Stark say, "All right, that's a bit much." And speaking of autonomy, the Vision Next 100 has 2 personalities. Boost mode and ease mode. Boost mode is where you're still the boss. The steering wheel pops out, the displays focus on performance, and you're basically piloting a spaceship. In ease mode, the car takes over, tucks the wheel away, reclines your seat, and drives itself with the help of level 4 autonomy. Then there's the AI co-pilot, a gemstone-like thingy which BMW calls companion. It learns everything about you. Your favorite routes, how late you usually are, and probably even your coffee order. It anticipates turns, adjusts the suspension for your driving style, and makes suggestions as if it's your overly polite German mother. If you always speed through a corner, it'll quietly tighten the line for you. BMW calls it intuitive. We call it passive-aggressive engineering. Of course, it's not just smart, it's sustainable too. The Vision Next 100 is built from carbon fiber and recyclable materials. The interior uses fabrics made from reused plastics. So it's fast, it's smart, and it won't make Greta Thunberg cry. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another one you'll love. As always, thanks for watching.